Okay, this is the final presentation for the CIT 260 class. It's a semester of Java programming, and this is an individual final presentation on the project, the semester project that we built, which is a game. So first I'm going to show you the fully implemented game. After I show you that, then I'm going to step through the rubric to kind of explain piece by piece of this presentation some of the background and the code that's within the game. So let's go ahead and run the game now. So if we hit run, it gives you a nice little introduction here, explains the game, and it will ask you to please enter your name. So I'm going to go ahead and say Caleb. Then it shows a main menu and asks for what you want to do. Start a new game, start an existing game, which will then ask you for a file path. I don't have an existing game on my computer, so I can't do that. Let's say I'm a brand new user. I've never played this before, so let's do H. Find out how to play the game. I can say what's the goal of the game, how to move, how to forge armor, etc., etc. Let's find out what the goal of the game is. So it gives you a nice little paragraph here of how to play the game, how the game is implemented, and it takes you back to the main menu. So let's go ahead and start a new game. We'll ask you to select a character, and based on what character you select, it says here you'll get different bonuses. You know, Nephi has +3 obedience, Sam has +3 virtue, etc. Let's do Zoram. +3 faith this game, why not? It gives you a kind of another introduction on kind of where you are in the game. It gives you another description of your surroundings, kind of puts you in the game, so to speak. So you can, from here, you can look at your inventory, which of course we just started the game, so we don't have anything. So it will ask us to hit E to exit, so we do that. We can hit X to show the map. So here's the map. It doesn't show us on the map yet. That's because we haven't selected a location to move to yet. If we try to answer the question in the current location, it will give us an error, and it will say, sorry, the user must be in the location of the map to answer the question. So it won't let you do that until you move to a location on the map, and I put in parentheses here, begin the game. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's move, and it will ask us for a column to move to. Let's move to 3 and row 3 as well, right in the center of the map. Now if we hit show map, it will show us in location 3, 3. So there we are. If we choose to answer the question, let's go ahead and do that. It will prompt us for a question, and it will ask us for the answer, A, B, or C. So it says, the word of God is symbolized by the iron rod. How does reading the Book of Mormon bless you? Getting an A+ on your history test? You know, maybe, maybe not. Being able to overcome the temptations of the adversary, giving an edge as a world traveler. So I'm going to put B, and it says correct. So I got an item. So now if I go back and look at my inventory, boom, it shows that the item I have and the name is called a necklace. And in the description of that is a necklace from King Noah's tax collection. Cool. So let's go back here. Now if let's say I move to a new location, right? Let's go to 1, 1. Now if I look at the map, it shows me as being here, but it shows that I visited 3, 3. So the asterisk means that I visited that location. It means I've already been there, the question's been answered, that location's done with. Nothing more to do there. Once you get a couple of items from answering questions, you can do what is called F, which is set up the forge. It gives a little introduction, or kind of a brief description. You roll out the forge, etc., etc., etc. You can begin forging armor with the ingots that you have. Before we do that, let's go into here. So to view the progress, let's hit P to view the progress, right? So it shows us as having 3 ingots of faith to start with, and the reason that is because we chose Zoram, who has the bonus attribute of faith. So he starts with 3 ingots of faith. If we were to choose Nephi, he would start with, I believe it's obedience, 3 ingots of obedience. So what do those ingots do for you in the game? Well, you hit F to set up the forge. You can begin forging armor, so let's do that. Let's go into that. It says you'll need 10 ingots of the appropriate type in order to forge a piece of armor. Well, we don't really have 10 ingots of anything, but you know, let's say that we did. Let's try F, right? Well, it says, sorry, you don't have enough ingots to create this armor piece, but that's because we don't. If we had the 10 ingots, it would allow us to create an armor piece. So let's exit the forge menu, go back to the forge menu, and let's smelt all the items down. So remember, we obtained a necklace. So if we smelt that down, it shows ingots of each type to be added. So the necklace had a contribution of 2 virtue. So we just now added 2 ingots of virtue to our inventory, and it says you now currently have 3 ingots of faith and 2 ingots of virtue. So once I get enough ingots of one type, 10, then I can go to the forge and make a piece of armor. Once I've obtained 6 pieces of armor from the ingots that I got from smelting the items down that I got from answering correct questions, then I win the game if I get all 6 pieces of armor. So yeah, that's pretty much the implemented game. And again, you basically just have to bounce around to the different locations and answer the questions. And yeah, that's our game. So you can hit exit to exit the game. Actually, hold on. Let's do it this way. Save new game. I'll be Nephi this time. I'll move to location 2-2. Actually, no. I'm going to move to location 3-3. Answer the question because I know what it is. It's B. So now I have an item, right? We can view that by saying view the inventory. Boom, it's right there. So let's go ahead and save the game now, right? So save game. For me, my computer is really, really locked down. I have a lot of security on my computer. So for me, when I type my file path name, users, Caleb, desktop, try and save it to my desktop, it won't let me, right? It says error, access is denied because NetBeans doesn't have access to write privilege or read privilege for that matter. So I've locked NetBeans down on my computer. But my partner, Brett Silva, got this to work flawlessly on his Mac. He doesn't have so many security restrictions on his computer. It worked great. He was able to open the file or open the game and save the game as well. So that works. So let's exit the game. It takes us back to the main menu. We can start a new game, etc., etc. So let's exit, and the build was successful. So that's our game. That's kind of how we implemented it. So now I'm going to go into the piece-by-piece presentation of the game and kind of show you a little bit of the background of it. So demonstrate through examples in your program a strong understanding of when to use an array list, or enum. Let me pull up Notepad. I have some notes here. So I'm going to go into the model layer for this. So as we can see, armor. Armor is one of our classes. We chose to make this an enum because the armor pieces here, they don't change. They're pretty much standard. Yeah, they don't change. The armor pieces stay the same throughout the whole game. It's not like we're gonna change a description or change an amount, or it's basically they're there. Another thing that we could use would be map. Map is a great example of an array. There's a multi-dimensional array of locations found in map due to row and column. Call count, row count kind of implement that. And we made that in a multi-dimensional array because, well, there's a row and there's a column, but we also wanted to have access to those, change those around, change the scenes in the location, change things that were within those locations, and we couldn't do that if those were enums. So we chose not to do that. If we go to game, we have an array list here called armor obtained. So armor here is an enum, right? Or I should say armor here is an enum. However, the game has an armor list of those armor pieces. So once you create the armor, it's like, okay, these are the pieces of the game. Well, what have they obtained, right? So the armors are as a whole is what the game has, but what they've obtained is different. It's a separate thing. So we made that an array list, and I personally really like working with array lists. It's really easy to add and remove things from them. So the next step in it's kind of a transition here. The only problem with array lists that we ran into that I ran into with some bugs was up in Forge Armor. And this kind of steps into the next portion of the presentation as well, which is demonstrate through examples of code that you've written to understanding the basic use of an index to go through each statement, basically a for each sort of a statement. And we ran into a problem up in Smelt. When you use a for each type of a statement or an index, you can't do the remove or add. You can't add or remove items to an array list if you're stepping through that array list. So the way I got around that, I did some research, read up some things, and there's a million different ways to do it. I like this one. This is the one I use. I create a new array list called the toRemove array list, and basically I add items to the toRemove list when I'm stepping through the array list, and when I get done with it all, right here, I remove all from the backpack. That was the array list that I was stepping through here. So you can see here I'm stepping through it, but I can't access the backpack. I can't add or remove from the backpack, but instead I added or removed to the to remove list. Then when it's all said and done, I remove from the backpack the remove all items from the to remove array list. So that's kind of an example of what we did to step through our backpack array using the for each. The next thing is demonstrate through examples of code that you've written how to use exception handling to throw, propagate, and catch custom basically error handling through try-catch statements, things like that. What we did was what the assignments told us to do, and for a good reason. We put our entire main within a try and catch. So basically, if there's any errors in the program that are thrown, if there's any like thrown exceptions, it's going to catch those exceptions and display them to the user. And it's going to come all. Let's say so. Tree of life, right, calls start program view calls main menu view could call start new game. It could go down a tree and a list of errors that could happen, and instead of having to backtrace all the way back up to main, try and catch allows us to just jump right back up to main. So that's the advantage of how to use or the advantage of using a try and catch statement. The next thing is demonstrate your understanding of when to use a character stream versus a byte stream. Now this was a little confusing to me at first, but I did a little bit more reading and a little bit more research on it, and it worked. I was able to understand it a little bit more after that. So basically what a character stream is it will read or write, depending on what you're doing, character by character, whereas a byte stream will read byte by byte. Excuse me. So if you have a character, let's say 2 bytes, I don't know an example of one of those, but if you have a character that's say 2 bytes, then a byte stream would split that character apart into 2 separate bytes. So it wouldn't be able to get that character together as one character. You would have to piece those 2 bytes together in order to get that character, which can be a problem. It's helpful in certain cases, but not for text. For text, it's more often it's used, or character streams are more often used for text documents, and that's why character streams are nice, is because if I have an exclamation point, I don't know if that's 2 bytes. It could be. It's a special character. So let's say an exclamation point's 2 bytes. Using a character stream doesn't matter. The exclamation point is an exclamation point. Doesn't matter if it's 3 bytes or 10 bytes. It doesn't matter. So that's kind of the differences in the character stream and byte stream. So now I'm going to demonstrate the example. The final thing in this project or the presentation is explaining my understanding of how to use, or basically how to read and write data to a file. So in the assignment, it had us use the in and out file, print writer and buffered reader, and this is how we read and write from a file. So the log file, right, we hard coded it to be in this. A lot of programs will do that. They will hard code their log file or their error file or stuff like that. So if a user has a problem, they can go look at that log file that was hard coded. It's in this location, so they know exactly where it's at. They can go to that location, look at the error messages, and be like, "Oh, that's the error that was thrown." A lot of the times, it's mumbo jumbo to the average Joe Schmo that doesn't know error code or errors, and so they'll contact the support and they can tell them the errors and they'll be able to interpret them, since a lot of people don't know code and errors. However, so we chose this to be our file path name. Then our log file, we said treeoflife.log file, which we set up here as a print writer called log file. We set it to null, and then we reset from null to a new print writer with a file path name of file path. So basically, it's going to create a new file stream or a stream of data that's going to be from the file path name, and it's going to be a print writer, so it's going to write data to the .log file. So it's going to allow us to write data to the log file. Let's see, where is... So that would be an example of writing. Reading, let's see, start an existing game, G, which would be right here. So the file path name will get input from the user. It will ask the user what file path, where is your game found. So the user will have to enter in their file path name, and then from that file path, it will then use that file path here to get the saved game from game control. So let's jump up to game control and show you that. So get saved game, right here. So basically what's going to happen is it's going to take that file path name that was passed in as a parameter and set it to a file input stream, which we called FIPS, and an object input stream called input. So it's going to be able to take any objects, or it's going to read that file that was written, assuming that we saved the game. To get that saved game, it's going to read through that file, and it's going to be able to draw the objects, which let's say it was items that the user had obtained, or it's going to obtain names such as the character, Nephi, layman, etc., etc. So those are the type of things that the get saved game function will do using the input streams. So that's the presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you liked the game. Hopefully you get to play it. It's actually kind of cool. Brett put a lot of work into, my partner Brett put a lot of work into setting up the questions and things like that while I was working with a lot of the errors. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it, and good luck with the game.